Horschel, our father.
Wow.
Dude was skeptical about doing this one.
Mm-hmm.
It took forever. I mean, him and my mom just will not get in front of this camera for some reason. We're like, hey, come on, just do it. You know, it's just real simple. We're just going to sit in a room and just have an hour discussion like we do literally every day. And he's like, wait, but my right side, it's not, this isn't my good side. It's like,
come
dude,
on.
This is literally
not
for
a
us.
He was worried that
watch.
if he died on his trip to France, that like this would be the last video of him. And I'm like, Dad, such a bad way of looking at it, because if you don't do it, now you have 0 videos of it.
True.
And it's like,
Yeah.
we could do 10,000 of these. There's no time limit, you know? Dude, you gotta talk.
It's going to take some time
Go
to
ahead.
pull some
Well,
shit
listen,
out of this old
Hey, it's
man.
kind of
We'll
weird.
hold your
Sorry.
hand. We'll hold your hand.
It's
I know.
kind of weird. Yeah.
It is weird.
Yeah, it'll probably take you a couple.
Days.
Yeah.
It's weird with the headphones on, because you kind of hear yourself talking, but you're kind of like immersed.
It's like in a vacuum. Yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah.
It makes it nice, though, because then you're like,
Now it's just us
Stuck.
3. That's it.
Plus the camera over there.
Don't worry about the camera, man.
Bo didn't even know the camera was there the whole time. When we were done, he was like, wait, you guys were recording this?
I think that makes it more intimidating.
Yeah,
Just the
definitely.
camera.
Yeah. Well, like this whole like thing is intimidating if you're just like sitting down to have a conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why we were saying like you can't just sit down and expect that, like if you wanted to have a podcast and the whole purpose of it was to just tell your life story, you're not going to be able to just sit down with headphones on, a mic in front of you, lights, like a whole setup, and all of a sudden be able to tell your life story from beginning to end like you would want to. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to do something like that, you'd have to have a script or something, because this is too intimidating for you to be able to, like off the cuff, just say every little detail that you would want to get through, you know?
For sure.
Why don't you tell us about your little trip you're going on?
Heading to France June 30th for like 8-9 days. We're going to do a 400-mile bike tour of the French Alps.
I didn't know it was 400 miles
Yeah,
total.
it's 400 miles total. So it's my good friend from Hershey that went to med school with Kelly that we biked for, all the time back in Hershey. And then we kind of lost touch with each other because that's before Facebook, and basically you had email, and that was not even email really back then. So we lost touch. He moved to Gettysburg. He's a surgeon. And every year I watched the Tour de France for the last 30 years. And every year that comes up, I think about my old riding buddies. And then a couple of years ago, I just contacted him, and we sort of reconnected. And he had this trip planned for last year. He got sick. He couldn't go. And then this year, he was going to go by himself. And I said, hey, do you care if I join you? And he's like, that'd be great. So that's
Shout out Tom Little.
Yeah, Dr. Tom.
Yep.
It's pretty sweet. How many miles are you guys going to do a day?
I think the average is like 50 a day.
It's a lot.
But it's not so much the mileage. That's a lot of miles, but it's the all the hills. It's all basically all mountains.
All climbing.
So we're doing, I think, 3 mountains a day. Average about 7,000 feet of climbing. Like a mile and a half straight up, basically.
Yeah.
On a bike, it's a good bit.
For people that have no idea what we're talking about cycling on the road. So my dad used to be a professional. Was it professional?
No, I was category 2 bike racer back in my 20s.
Yeah.
It starts out category 5, and you get points, and as you move up each category, and you get to 2. It's hard to get above 2 unless you go pro.
Yeah.
Category 1's basically pro. So
He used to do that. How many years ago was that? 25 years?
30 years ago,
Wow.
back after I finished wrestling in college, I just picked up a new sport, and I fell in love with biking. So
And that was pretty much everyday biking. And then once you were done with that, you basically took only, what was it, like 15 rides in the next 20 years?
yeah, after I stopped racing, after you guys were born, after Mackenzie was born, I stopped racing. I raced another year or 2, but it wasn't as fun because just had no time. And then I just biked casually off and on for a while, and then I pretty much stopped in my mid-30s. So for the last 20 years, I'd go out on, we'd go to the beach, I'd go biking, I'd go crazy for a week, and then and that's it. But
So kids ruined it for you.
you guys, I almost said the F word, but yeah, you guys messed it up.
You stopped racing after you had Mackenzie?
I remember she was born, and then I took second in the state the year before she was born.
Yeah.
The year she was born, I crashed at the same race. And then I started getting kind of like, once you got a kid, you kind of got to start thinking about your family and not just yourself. So I started thinking, what if I got, injured, paralyzed, something stupid. I mean, I'm racing not for that much money. It wasn't like you're pro, so it was got kind of sketchy there for a while.
It's dangerous, man. You're going like 40 miles an hour down a hill with people all around you. Like you can get really messed
I
up.
never got hurt racing, but I had some crazy crashes. Like the one I crashed at States, it was a downhill doing about 45 miles an hour, and everybody, you're inches away. So the next guy beside you is basically, you're almost touching elbows. Mm-hmm. And our handlebars got stuck together, and you're going down because you're both just like trying to get your handlebars off each other, and you have like 1 second to react.
Oh, that sucks.
So we just go crashing down. I pop back up, and I just grabbed my bike. I know my bike. I picked it up. I got on top of it. I'm like, something doesn't seem right. It was all straight and it was okay. I realized it wasn't my bike. It was the other guy's bike. We had the same exact bike. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I think I got like 5th or 6th that year, even though I crashed. So
yeah, that's cool. That's gonna be so fun.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I'm sad that he's not bringing me with him.
Well, if he had
if I had $7,000 that I could just piss away right now, I'd go. But yeah.
I feel bad not. Be cool to take you guys, but you have to have dreams,
It's interesting to think about you being alone with like your friend in France.
Yeah,
because usually you're with like us or something.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we just haven't. It hasn't. I mean, we're good friends, but really, it's been like a long time. So
that'll be fun.
It's going to be a little bit different, just being 24/7 with someone you haven't really seen for a long time. Mm-hmm. But he came here 2 weeks ago to ride, and it was like we'd never left each other. Like we never. It felt like just the old times. Didn't feel awkward. And
I love male relationships.
Yeah, it's
men
so
to men.
much easier.
So nice.
So easy. There's no.
You don't got to text them every fucking month and be like, hey, how are you? I'm thinking of you. I could just not text my friends for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then just second I see him, it's like, yo, dude, what's up?
Yeah, how you feeling? Easy. How's your, there was, at least with my friends, I only have a few good friends, and there's no jealousy. There's no, if there is, no, we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
No one, you don't know it if it is. And
it's like healthy competition.
Yeah. And it's cool because my buddy Tom, it's been 30 years. We had such parallel lives. We were talking about it. It's so cool. Like he has 2 kids. We have 4. He's got one at med school. We got one that went to med school. He has a 70-acre property in Gettysburg with a log house. We have a similar property here. He did well financially and, set up his life pretty well. And he's still married. That's pretty rare nowadays, so it's kind of cool. Yeah.
I want to talk about money. Can we?
Oh, shit.
Sure.
Cooper's like,
fuck. Cooper can check out for the next 20 minutes. But
we talk about MMA a lot, so we'll talk about Colby's little...
Yeah, I'm not really MMA kind of guy.
We'll talk about Colby's money world. What do you want to talk about?
So let's just take it back from day one. Dad goes to UPJ. Just start.
Wait. I don't want to do my origin story.
No. That's what we're doing.
No.
We are with money. Okay. Think about it in terms of like.
I want to talk about
how is it like growing up, with your family? Did you see yourself as rich or poor? Just start with that.
That's a good question because I never thought of it that way. But never thought of myself as poor, but never also felt rich. So I felt like just comfortable.
5 siblings. You had 5 other siblings.
Yeah, there's 6 of us, and I definitely felt like back then there were the term middle class. I didn't know what that even meant. We didn't really talk about that kind of stuff back then. But I definitely felt I never needed something I didn't have. Like my dad was the president of a bank, which is different than nowadays, But he also worked every weekend. He drove truck on the weekends just to make extra money for the family, which he probably didn't have to even do. So we really didn't have I remember, it's kind of weird, but I also had a paper out, so I had my own money from 3rd grade on. So I got into photography. I bought my own camera in 6th grade for like $300, which is a lot of money. Back then. That's over
like
$1,000.
$2,000.
Oh, at least, yeah.
You made your money doing like paper routes and stuff like that, though. Whenever you were
every day paper out.
Did you always want to be wealthy? Like, was that just a thought in your mind?
Well, I think going back to my parents, like they didn't just give us stuff. Like I did get a motorcycle after begging them for, ever, like I did get stuff like that. We had dirt bikes, but no crazy vacations. It was all mostly camping vacations, which were awesome, But we never went to a hotel.
You never went camping though and thought like, damn, I wish I was in Europe.
I had no idea what that even meant. No. No. Back then, I didn't know anybody who left the country. Like, in our school, nobody, even the ones who were kind of more wealthy, they didn't travel the world like nowadays.
Did you have a way of looking at what other parts of the world are like? Like, did you have, you didn't have like YouTube and stuff like that? Oh, we're getting there.
You're breaking down my
breaking the money trip. No,
God
only thing we knew back then was just we had books.
Okay. Yeah, like what?
We had the encyclopedia. So we had a whole collection of like a whole volume was like it was crazy. The encyclopedia and had pictures of different things, but you had to look up,
Oh, what a terrible way to get information.
Go to the F for France, and you could look at some pictures, but no one did that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of
reading is definitely valuable, but I'm so happy I don't have to go on encyclopedias to get information. But definitely. I digress.
Well, so, the world is just smaller now based on the internet. Yeah, so
college.
But what we were talking about back the money part. Yeah, I didn't feel wealthy or poor. Felt comfortable. Never really wanted something I couldn't probably get because if my parents wouldn't buy it, I'd buy it myself. So I think that was actually a good thing because then
Definitely.
My dad had a great work ethic. I mean, he worked till almost the day he died in his 80s.
Yep.
And he loved it. So I think all my siblings work really hard. We all did pretty well. And I think it goes back to my dad from his work ethic and then if he wouldn't buy it, I just go buy it myself with his permission. You know?
Jobs back then, though. Jobs back then, if you had a family, like you could have a job, your job title could be like milkman, and you could have a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and raise a, family of 4, make good money. You know what I mean?
People did blue collar jobs back then.
Yeah.
And you get paid for blue collar jobs when you work them, period.
Yeah, it was definitely, that part was better for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sure everyone's looking back. We didn't want to talk about money that much. We did. My dad was a banker, so I knew how to do my checkbook. I knew what interest rates were. I knew that was helpful. But no one talked about, hey, what do your parents do or make? Or money wasn't really, at least in my friend group, no one knew who had a bigger house.
Yeah.
Like the Colvins had a bigger house, or someone like owned a business in Richland. They had the pool, their dad was a doctor, but that was pretty rare. There weren't that many people most people seemed like equal.
But you never had really a desire to be that kind of.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like I wanted a pool. Like when I would go to my friend's house, I'm like, I want that.
Yeah.
When I get older, for sure. And we had a decent house, just an average, middle class house. But I think I was one of more. Yeah, for sure.
And then you went to college, and then you decided to do pharmacy.
I went into UPJ undecided, and then I was going to be an accountant initially. And then I just sort of thought that seems kind of boring. And then my sister Wendy was dating her husband now, Mike, who owns a pharmacy. His parents own a pharmacy. That's how I got into pharmacy. Because I was just starting college, and he was already in college. He took me down to Pitt, went to a fraternity party, and it seemed kind of cool. I had no clue what pharmacy was. But at the time, I was working at Eaton Park in college as a dishwasher, which was like a horrible job. I had fun, but it was you just come home disgusting. You come home, you smelled like just sewage almost. It was disgusting.
How much were you making in that job?
Minimum, it's like $3.35 an hour.
Oh my God.
Minimum wage.
If I worked for an hour
this is the
doing
funny
dishes,
part.
I got
So
paid $3.
I went to Pitt to see this farm. Mike showed me his dad's pharmacy. I'm looking at his dad, and his dad's clean in a white coat. And that was how I made my decision to be a pharmacist. I'm like, wait, this guy, I can make like $50,000 or $60,000 and go to work clean, come home clean. I'm working at Eaton Park, making $3 an hour, and I smell like crap. So that was a weird, just random thing, but I really thought, wow, it's kind of a cool job. You go to work, you come home, you're clean, make some money.
And then
It's a weird way to pick pharmacy, but it was one reason I did.
pretty much like you were like, oh, I want stability that is a high income job where I don't have to sacrifice like my labor, really.
Yeah, I never really thought of it even that.
It was just like a decision on off the cuff.
So weird. Yeah, I think looking back,
this whole thing.
Yeah, looking back, it's such a weird, random event that changed
Everything.
all of our lives, really. With pharmacy and getting my own pharmacy.
Then tell us how you started at Weiss once you graduated pharmacy school.
This is not my origin story, guys. I want to do a separate podcast.
No.
on it.
I want to hear about. Let's go through the money part real quick. I just want to hear. So you started working at Weiss, right?
I graduated in 91. I worked for Rite Aid for 1 year. Couldn't stand Rite Aid. It was just corporate. Just didn't like it at all. Mm-hmm. And then I switched to a company called Weiss Markets. Much more, still corporate, but much more laid back. Great schedule. And I was still biking back then. So I only worked 3 days a week at Weiss.
Yep.
3 12-hour days. I could still bike. I used to bike an hour and a half to work. And then I worked 9 to 9. And then get a ride home, because I couldn't train those days. On the days I was doing 9 to 9 schedule.
Yep.
So.
And then you saw your boss and how he was making way more money.
Which part are you trying to get to?
I'm trying to think of how you got to the point where you started your own pharmacy and then you managed your money the way you did throughout your life.
Dude, you have like paint on your shirt.
Yeah, dude. I just woke up, bro.
Dude, you have like hot sauce on your mustache.
Well, it's not that simple because a lot of those decisions go way back to like a paper route, wrestling, and working hard. And then when I started at Rite Aid, I saw like right away, day one, that corporate was like not for me. Mm-hmm. Because they hired me right out of college. I had no experience. And they fired, which I didn't even know they were going to do. They fired this lady who was there for 30 years. They got rid of her to put me in there.
Wow.
Dude, that sounds like me leaving Pitt.
Talk about like, that's where I first saw like the corporate, there's no loyalty.
Yeah.
Like you're disposable. I'm young.
Yep.
Probably a little better looking than this person. You know what I mean? That's not, I'm just saying, like, I was young and like energetic. This lady was great though. She knew the community. She knew everybody's family, and I had no idea they're going to replace me with her. I had to work with her for like a few weeks. Then they got rid of her.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that gave me a bad taste for just corporate. So then I kind of think right away, I think that was like, there's big things in your life where you look back and think that what's like the big sparks that like changed everything. And that was subconsciously, that definitely did. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't want to be part of that world because then that's me 30 years from now. Mm-hmm. I'm older and disposable and, and she, I'm sure it was tough for her because she's been there so long and,
mm-hmm.
She probably felt.
So you just said screw it then, took a big loan and opened
so no,
up your own
I
pharmacy?
left Rite Aid for that other job at Weiss because of better schedule, mostly better schedule, closer to home, and just more laid back. Mm-hmm. Their managers were cool. They were just, they were way more chill. Not Rite Aid was just up your ass every day. Do this, do that, and Weiss was just laid back. And I loved the company and stuff. So, but the cool thing was I got to train more, and I had all this free time because I was only working 3 days a week. Kelly was in med school, your mom, and she was, working 80, 90 hours a week. So I always had a desire to make more money. So the days off, I would work extra. And then I got this opportunity at a small independent pharmacy about a half hour from my house. This doctor owned it. Well, actually, his wife owned it because a doctor can't own a pharmacy. So his wife owned the pharmacy, but she had no interest in running it. She had just legally had to have her name on it. So they lost their pharmacist. The doctor called us, my partner and I, at my store, because he knew we liked to work extra, make some money. Mm. And we decided to check it out, and we worked there for a few days to fill in. So we decided to start my first company. It was called Mortar and Pestle Pharmacy. It was like a consulting firm, basically. So we took over that pharmacy and ran it for that doctor. So we could either work the days we were off, or we would hire people to work for us. Mm-hmm. And that's the first taste I got of like, okay, this is cool. We're charging a doctor $70 an hour. So if I worked that day, I made $70 an hour. And my other job, I was making like 35. And if I didn't work, we'd pay someone 35. Charge 70, yep. We'd make the difference.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was like my first taste of like, I can not work and make money. Mm-hmm. That was probably another small little, thing in your life where you realize, wow, that's how you become rich. Yep. Like, you stay home and you're making money, mm-hmm. versus trading your time for money, mm-hmm. which works also if you make a high income.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a high paid person, you can do that and be fine. But if you're not, you're working your butt off and you're kind of.
So you wanted to be an owner.
Yeah.
That's what Naval always talks about. He's like this financial guru, whatever, philosopher, and he always talks about price your time, like overprice your time. Like now he won't spend time doing anything for less than like $200 an hour. You know what I mean? Unless it's like really worth it. I mean, for him, probably like $2,000 an hour. But
50,000.
yeah,
Probably.
but he talks about like building something that can make money for you. That's the real way to build wealth.
Just be an owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that probably sparked ownership a lot. And there again, it all comes back to my dad, because
Yep.
he worked extra. He had a good job. He's the president of a bank, making probably good money back then. Seeing him work extra, he didn't have to work extra. I mean, he just wanted extra so we could have extra things. But we'd have been fine without him working extra, I think. So I think seeing that made me want to do that. So it's all big. It's all, there's not one thing. It's multiple things. Like everyone says you're a self-made man. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
do you
Yes,
mean?
I feel like I'm a self-made man, or you ever heard the term like self-made millionaire? No one, you can say that, but it's not true, because different things in your life influenced what you did.
Yeah.
So if my dad wasn't that way, if he was wealthy and gave me stuff, I probably wouldn't have done the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Or if he was abusive, or you just never know. But so no one can say they did it themselves.
Yeah.
And obviously with your mom, if I had someone who wasn't supportive and it was on my ass every day about, why are you doing this, or why are you taking these risks, or why aren't you home this time of day? But she never ever, always supported, whatever I said. If I did something crazy, she was always like, yeah, go for it. That's pretty rare too for a lot of families, that you got to have a partner that's going to not put you down that way. And she always just believed it would work out.
Yeah, for sure.
Last thing, Johnstown Pharmacy.
Yeah, so I learned a lot by running that small pharmacy. I learned a ton. So I learned how to basically, just run a whole pharmacy, because we did the books, we did the inventory, we did everything. So, and then I started seeing, even though we're charging this doctor $70 an hour, he was still making more than that.
That's crazy.
So I would every day run the numbers, and I'd be like, okay, today we made $2,000, and say he paid us $70 an hour times 8. That's not that much. It's 500 and some bucks. He's making another $1,000. So what if I owned the whole thing? That got my curiosity. So I went back to my other job at Weiss, and I started doing that at Weiss too. I would break down every bottle, every cent, every day, and figure out what we made versus what I got paid. I'm like, hey, I'm getting paid good money, but there's more on the table that I'm not getting. So that definitely sparked, that made me even more excited about my own pharmacy.
Was the barrier to entry pretty low to open your own pharmacy?
Yes and no.
Like lower if you wanted to do it now, I guess.
Not that much different, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
With like
I mean, the hard part is the pharmacy is, I definitely had good timing when I did it.
yeah.
So we were still in Hershey at the time. So I'm doing my regular job at Weiss, working on this other company. I also had a daycare company that I fell through, but that's a different story. But a different next time. But we were moving back home to Johnstown, and I had no job. Obviously, I'm still in Hershey, so I decided just to pick up the phone and call. I started thinking about having my own pharmacy at that point. So I just decided to look in the phone book and look up any pharmacies and just call and see if anybody wanted to ever sell their pharmacy. First person I called was out in Central City, and I said, I'm moving back home, looking for a pharmacy. If you're ever interested, let me know. He's like, yeah, let's talk. I was like, my very first call. So the point of that is, you got to go look for opportunities. They're not going to come. He's not going to call me. That guy's not going to call me in Hershey to buy his pharmacy, right? You got to pick up the phone and make your own decisions and go for it.
It's cool because you literally risk nothing asking the question, but you have everything to gain. They say no. Who gives a fuck?
I just go to the next one.
Yep.
I had them all lined up and order what I thought possibilities. Like I knew Martella's was local. They have a lot. They're young. They're not going to sell.
Yeah.
So I picked ones that the guys were older, and started from the top. And that first guy said yes. We negotiated. Kind of didn't know enough still at that point, and it kind of fell through. And Martellus bought it. And I ironically I ended up working for Martellus at that pharmacy.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Which is crazy because at first it pissed me off because I'm like, I'm in there thinking this should be my pharmacy. And now I'm working for them. I was there for less than a year, but that pharmacy took off and increased by 30%.
Yeah.
And I think truthfully it's because of me. And every previous pharmacy I worked at, I doubled their business within 2 years. I had 4 different stores I worked at before that. So I had the confidence that I could do that. So then I started getting resentful, like that it wasn't mine. So I got back in the phone book. A year later, I got back in the phone book and just started looking, thinking what's close to my house and which pharmacy is not like well known. And it was called Union Pharmacy, Union Prescription, called this lady and said the same thing. Hey, I'm here, I live here, I'm from here, looking for a pharmacy, any interest? And she's like, yeah, let's meet. I'm like, I was like shocked. I'm like, only called 2 pharmacies in my entire life. And they both said yes. So that's pretty crazy.
That's cool.
So I met with her and I bought it within a week.
Wow.
Like this time I was ready. First time I had cold feet a little bit. I kind of like procrastinated a little bit. And that's how I lost that first pharmacy. So I thought on this one, if it sounds decent, I'm just going to go for it.
How much did it cost?
That's the best part because, she didn't have a great business. She was doing like $500,000 in sales, which sounds like a lot of money, but in pharmacy, it's really not. And I only paid $50,000 for.
Wait, what?
I paid $50,000 for the actual business.
Gotcha.
Like for her clientele. Because on paper, she wasn't making that much money. Like she's probably making like $60K. And I was making that just working for Bilo, whatever,
Yep.
So I had no idea what I was doing. She had no idea what she was doing. And so I bought her inventory for $180,000. I gave her $50,000 for the actual like business. So I borrowed $250 total. I had some extra capital because the first few weeks in pharmacy you don't make any money because you build the insurance, they pay you 6 weeks later. So that was a steal. Looking back on it, probably.
What were the other costs?
When you buy a pharmacy, basically you're buying the inventory, and then you're buying the clients, the actual people that come in. That's your base. So nothing really. I mean, the other costs I had were just the computer, but that was all included. I didn't pay extra for the computer, and she had. Once I got in there, I realized, wow, I can kick ass because she had no idea what she was doing. I mean, no offense, she's actually passed away. I feel bad saying that, but excuse me. Yeah, she had, like, her inventory was $180,000 for inventory. It should have been like $70,000.
Really?
Her inventory was so, she'd think she'd get a deal and she'd buy like 30 bottles or something. And she'd use like 1 bottle a month. Yeah. So like the first few months I had to buy anything. Like inventory, I dropped the inventory down by probably $60K in the first few months.
Wow.
Damn.
And she just didn't, and she wouldn't take credit cards, like, just simple things like that like, she just wasn't, she wasn't prepared. I think she bought it probably not even knowing what she was getting into. It wasn't like an entrepreneur, so it didn't work. She held her own, like she made a salary, but she wasn't making money. So I bought that in 1999, and then 1 year later, we hit $1 million in sales.
Wow.
So in 1 year, I doubled her business. And the only thing I changed was just me. I mean, truthfully, I didn't remodel the place. I mean, I did clean up a little bit. It was kind of a mess. But I didn't make anything fancy or crazy or, it was
people
basic.
just love, we live in a little town and there's a lot of old people in our town because there's not really any jobs for young people. So these old people, they're so secluded. They're all just in their homes by themselves and they go out once a week to do all their things. And my dad's pharmacy was inside of a grocery store. So they would go get their groceries, go get their medication, and then up comes this 30-year-old dude that's good looking and is charismatic.
And he'll flirt with them.
And he would just go, he'd give them hugs, give them attention. These old people, they would love that, and he would never lose those clients.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because your mom and I don't know if it was her idea or my idea, truthfully, but our slogan was, it was Johnstown Pharmacy. We changed the name of Johnstown Pharmacy. We put the incline plane on it as our logo. And then our slogan was the pharmacy with a heart. And I don't remember now if it was her idea or my idea or kind of both.
Yeah.
But that was our slogan, and you'd be surprised at how much that really got me clients. Even just seeing that, because most pharmacies aren't that way. You walk into a big corporate pharmacy,
It's gross.
not say they don't care about you, but they care to a certain point, you know, whereas at our place, you know, literally these people were our family. So I got to know their family. I knew their kids' names, their dogs' names, or, you know, someone comes in, hey, how's your granddaughter? How was the dance recital? You know, how was your kid's birthday last week? And
Isn't it kind of cool to think about how when you're an owner, you have the incentive to make sure you're always growing?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just an employee, you don't have that incentive. So your company, if you, let's say you're an owner and you have just employees, your company is going to stay more stagnant than if you were inside of that store yourself every day, because they don't have an incentive to make you more money. They're going for their paycheck.
And some places do offer bonuses, you know, like my brother works for Giant Eagle and he has to hit certain quotas, but they make it so unrealistic every year. As you hit your quota, now next year you got to do 10% more.
Yeah.
They make it so almost impossible to make those bonuses, or it's almost like not worth it. The amount of work the amount of extra work you got to do isn't worth that few bucks are going to give you.
Yep.
But for the owner, yeah, it's definitely worth it. And I hate to think that I didn't do it just for the money. I mean, I'm sure subconsciously it's going to be there because that's just the way it is. But I truly did like these people, and I just treat them. I come to find out, like, it was definitely the previous owner was not that way. A little bit racist, you know, just a little bit not welcoming to certain people, which I found out quickly. Because when I first bought that store, I swear we had 10 African American clientele total. And by the end, we had probably 50-50.
Yeah.
So you can't do that. Like, I treat every customer as if they were my mom. You know, if they had a welfare card or if they had $1 million, I didn't care. You know, I didn't really treat them. In my opinion, I didn't treat them differently. And my staff didn't either. And my staff was amazing too. Like, you know, if you guys watch this, shout out to my staff.
I feel like pharmacy is such a good niche business because it just kind of markets itself. You know, everyone needs to go to the pharmacy.
Yeah, you need meds, but you're
not like, I mean, you're not competing. You're kind of competing against big companies like Rite Aid in a way.
Yeah.
But it also, like, if you build it, they'll come. You know what I mean?
Well, people thought I was crazy that, you know, hey, there was a Rite Aid in town and also a Thrift Drug. Two big companies, mega companies, you know, and then there's just me in this little store that's the size of, like, our kitchen, you know? And you can't compete. I'm like, that's bullshit. You can compete in different ways. They can get better deals on stuff. They can buy better, maybe a little bit better. But I bought into a co-op, so we all bought together, different pharmacies. And then basically you can crush them on service, you know.
Yep, exactly.
And personality, and I just kissed her. I mean, we had customers that Joanne, you know, one lady, you know, she would call 10 times a day. If she called Rite Aid 10 times a day, they'd probably block her number, where we would talk to her every time. And not every time a lot, but you know, we wouldn't hang up on her. We wouldn't tell her to go away. And then we would take her groceries, you know, she would call and ask for cigarettes, and we'd have to go buy cigarettes and take a delivery to her. And we'd deliver too, which was, you know, I think very beneficial. But
yeah,
people would call and say, hey, can you go get some meat for me on the way? You know, we'd go out and get a steak and then bring their prescription over. And it was kind of funny. Yeah, it's kind of like,
not to break any privacy agreements.
How many years total did you own the company?
22 years.
I wish we could talk about how much you had in sales and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think that'd be a different
podcast.
I mean, I can, but
no, me and you could do that separately.
Yeah, but it definitely took off right away.
Yeah.
And I remember telling your mom when I first bought it, like, be prepared to make nothing for the first 3 or 4 years, because I had no clue. Even though I thought I knew what I was doing, I was 33 years old. I was like, you know, I was still pretty young. For a pharmacy owner, most pharmacy owners are definitely older, in their 50s or 60s, and most of them got it from their parents. Most owners handed it down from generation to generation. So, and luckily, year one, I made way more than I'd made just as a pharmacist.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
That was exciting, yeah. And then that was just exciting.
And you basically doubled your salary for the first 4 years.
Yeah, first 3, 4, or 5 years. Yeah, just every year was year over year.
100% increase.
A lot, yeah. But it was a lot of work, yeah, and a lot of stress. And
That was smart to contact old business owners and try to get their stuff rather than just trying to start it from scratch. This dude named Dan Pena, he's like 100 whatever, hundreds of millions of dollars, but he basically teaches his students to how to find old business owners who don't have any family and how to buy their business off of them. Because they'll always give you the best deal, and they have a system that works. You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel.
And they don't want to see it die, typically. Yeah. Based on that same thing as my best friend from pharmacy school, Greg Romeo, we both were similar. He had the same entrepreneurial kind of spirit, after college. He opened a medicine shop franchise, and he did it from scratch. Like there was no store there. He got the lease, got the franchise. So his first week, he's doing like 10 scripts a day. So he's working for free the first 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. I think that also made me never want to do one from scratch. Mm-hmm. So that also, they're again, small little things in your life you think, it's not that big a deal. Yeah, he got to the same point that I got to after like 6 years, but I got to his 6-year mark in year 2, and excuse me, and he had to pay this big franchise fee of $100,000 a year, which I had to pay nothing. So same thing. It's like one of those weird moments where you're like, okay, I learned something from somebody else. Like, you can just pay attention in life, basically, and you can learn so much from other people.
Yeah.
You basically took a step back once you made enough money where you were like, okay, I can sacrifice maybe 50 to 100K of this current amount that I'm making per year to just be completely free to do whatever the hell I want every single day for the rest of my life. And then how did that whole process happen?
So in 99, I bought the pharmacy in 99, and basically we were open 9 to 5 during the week and 9 to 12 on Saturday. So I worked that schedule. It was not a bad schedule. It's 43 hours a week is actually a normal schedule.
Yep.
Worked out the first probably 3 years myself. Had no help. And once I got to a certain number where I think, I could take maybe one day off a week. So I started off just taking one day off, like Wednesdays, that's it. I hired someone for just every Wednesday. That was pretty cool. And then as we kept growing, then I went to like 2 days a week. But then by 2008, I was probably doing like 3 days a week still working. I had Tuesdays and Thursdays off. But then 2008, I decided this is all ironic, but I decided just to hire someone like full time, like almost full time, like 32 hours a week. So I worked like 1 day a week in 2008, and that was it. One day I would be as a pharmacist 1 day a week. I would do paperwork on the side. Mm-hmm. I did all the paperwork myself and all the books. But in 2008 I decided, even though I was paying her probably over $100,000 or roughly, it was still worth it.
Yep.
Because you guys were in your prime. Like all 4 kids were, wrestling, football, track, dance, gymnastics. And I never wanted to miss that. Mm-hmm. And your mom and I, we never missed anything.
And you used to take us everywhere.
Used to be late as hell to pick me up from football. But
I was a little bit late sometimes, but
he's not good with time.
No,
something he's not too good at.
I taught you a good lesson. Like you gotta fend for yourself sometimes.
I broke my arm.
When I was in elementary school.
I remember Mackenzie. I'd pick up her school, and she'd be just like,
dude, I used to
be so pissed off.
At the end of elementary school, I feel like it was every day. It was probably only like 5 times, but I would have to go to the principal's office and just sit there. And I would go to the principal after like 10 minutes would pass and be like, can I call my mom and dad? Because I didn't know if you guys were fucking coming to pick me up. And then I'd call you and you'd be like, I'll be there in 15 minutes.
I don't know what happened those days, but yeah. So
I remember I broke my arm in 5th grade at football practice, and you were like 45 minutes late to pick me up, and I had to sit there with Mike Sable. And my arm was just getting like worse and worse pain.
That's funny.
I was just standing there like this.
I don't know what
fuck.
I don't know what. Hey, come on. This is not pick on dad day here. Come on.
That's all right.
All right, last thing. You sold the pharmacy.
Yeah, so 2008, I decided to almost not work. So from 2008 to 2018, basically, this next 10 years, when you guys were in your young prime, busy days, I worked 1 day a week or not at all, and did fine. So we traveled a lot, and obviously we did everything, and it was pretty cool. But then I decided, then 2015, 16, the economy sort of changed and reimbursements changed big time, what they were paying us. And so I had to come back to work a little bit more. Still, I was doing like 2 days a week, so it wasn't that bad. Did that for the next couple of years, and I decided I just didn't see the future of pharmacy going the way that I wanted to go, as far as like being just prosperous. And it started getting back to the point where it was going to be a job.
Yep.
I'm going to have to work for my money. Not that that's bad.
Just went full circle, though.
It kind of went all, yeah.
Yep.
And there a lot of it's timing. Like if I'd have bought that pharmacy in 2018, it'd be a whole different story, a whole different career of like what I made, what we could have done with our family, and just, you know, how I could have helped people and stuff. So a lot of it's timing, you know. I mean, a lot of it's hard work, but hard work is no guarantee for success, obviously, because if you're a ditch digger, you'd be a millionaire, you know. But, you know, being lazy is definitely a sign of failure. You know, you're not going to succeed. So I got a little bit lucky with timing. And then my buddy Greg, back to my buddy Greg, same thing. He decided like, hey, let's just see what my pharmacy is worth. So he contacted CVS, got a price, and he thought it was pretty decent. He's like, I'm going to sell. Because based on the way it's going, he had the same situation. He was working more than ever, making a third what he was making, you know, years ago. He decided to sell, and there again, that kind of prompted me to think, what the heck, I'll just see what it's worth, and called Rite Aid, and it was the same offer that Greg got. We had the same businesses, same volume of sales. So, and that was 2021. I decided to sell, and I would love to keep it local. Kind of sucks because I do like local businesses, but the offer I got from a local place was like half of what Rite Aid was going to pay, and I'm not going to give it away, you know.
This is so cool.
That is full circle. You worked at Rite Aid and they bought your business.
I was going to say, this is so cool to see.
That is pretty cool. I never thought about that, but yeah, it's true.
It's so cool to see my dad. So whenever my earliest memories of my dad are not him working at all.
It's probably not good. That's probably not good. Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah, in a way, it's okay because I knew that you already did all the work to get to that point, and you still like. I have so much respect for you because I knew that you did what you wanted to do, and that was it. And you didn't care what other people thought. You just did what you wanted to do. And I think that like you take it too far sometimes, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But
for sure.
But it's really cool because my mom is the complete opposite. My mom is like, I need to give away every second of my day to make sure that I'm helping every single human being on the entire planet. And then my dad's like, I'm going to do what I want to do because I have a short life and I want to enjoy my life. And so it's really cool to see mom and dad both like that. So when we're growing up, though, I never saw my dad work really ever. But then now that he sold his pharmacy, he bought 2 rental properties where he basically has to start from scratch on how to make an income again. And it's really cool because I'm doing the same thing right now. Like I've spent 2 years basically losing money doing day trading, Airbnb, whatever. And then now I see my dad and he has to go to his rental property. He crams it in like I do, where he'll do like a month worth of work in 1 week because you don't want to be there every single day for 4 hours. You'd rather just go for 10 hours every day for 7 days straight. And then it's just cool seeing how you have to basically start from scratch again. And he's trying to build like an income so you feel just comfortable again.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hobby too. I mean,
you don't need it, but
yeah, the difference is I'm not desperate. Like, you know, back when I bought the pharmacy, it was desperation. Yeah. Because at that point, this could be a different podcast altogether too, but yeah, we were in debt, you know, close to $1 million probably.
That's wild.
So that was definitely more of a desperation move. We're like, this has to work because if not, we're losing this house, we're losing the property. You know, it would have been, we'd have bounced back because you know, with pharmacy income, I could have went and got a job and made good money still. But yeah, it'd been rough. Yeah, it would have taken 10 extra years to get back anywhere where we were. So that and it's more fun now. It's not like I'm not stressed out about I have to do this, has to succeed. I'm trying to approach it that way because I don't want it to fail because that's just not the way I want things to happen. But
yeah, there's definitely something to be said about being down and out. I mean, being close to $1 million in debt, you're like, I don't care what I got to do. I got to make something work.
Oh, I'd have worked.
You can't really simulate that feeling of.
I'd have worked 20 hours a day if I had to. Yeah. Like I would have fired everybody and just did my own single person if I had to cut expenses. Like at that point, it never happened that way, thank God. But I was prepared to do that. Yeah. And you have to have that mentality. That's why you got to do it when you're young too, because
you can't
to do that now in my 50s, I mean, I can still grind out a 12, 18-hour day if I have to, but not day after day. You know, it just wouldn't be that fun.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole idea of being like you wanted to be a boss and all that. I feel like the whole idea of being a boss and an entrepreneur, these like by the time that I'm ready to start my career is going to be a different thing than whenever you were, because you could just kind of buy a business and then you could make it work. You could find a way to make it work. I feel like buying a brick and mortar business whenever I'm ready to start making money, like and start my career, is gonna kind of be dead. I feel like it's gonna be mostly like freelancers online. Like most businesses are gonna be from online. You know,
it depends what you want to do.
Selling your service from.
I mean,
I guess. I even like brick and mortar clothing stores, like things that you would typically like, unless it's a grocery store. But even if you're opening a grocery store, I mean, by the time that that's the thing for me. Like, it's gonna be your fridge is gonna recognize that you're low on milk, and it's just gonna order from an Amazon warehouse. You know what I mean? It's gonna fly over to your house.
I think there's always gonna be a need for people still want to go out and do things. Yeah. You know, like if you never left your house, all came to you. That'd be kind of. I think that would kind of. I mean, it's kind of cool. But I like kind of going out, you know, seeing people, and you know, it's different vibe. Buying something in a store, trying it on. I hate buying clothes online because it never fits. At least for me, I'm just built a little differently, and you know, short, stocky, but not fat. You know, like it's not. It's hard to get the right kind of clothes. You have to send them back. It's kind of a pain in the ass. You know.
Nowadays, you have to be way more creative to start a company. I think. I mean, there is a benefit of brick and mortar where you will have sales. Whereas if you start a Shopify company, you're not guaranteed shit. Like you could go a year before even one person buys your product. And then you can go the route of, well, do I sell high volume, cheap shit from China? Do I sell low volume, expensive shit that I make personally myself, and I'm a creative person and I know how to build stuff? So I gotta, like, nowadays, if you are creative on something and you don't know how to do business, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because you have to know how to sell the shit you can make. If you can't get that out there, it doesn't matter anyway.
But if you can get that out there, like if you can be creative and get your product out there, you can reach 100,000x of what you could ever reach. You know what I mean?
I think most people that have a business, though, from what I've seen over the years, I don't call them businesses. They're more like a job. It's a job.
It's a means to an end there. They don't have to work anymore.
Yeah. So basically, if I was a farmer, if I'm a pharmacist right now, they're making, say, $130,000, right? That's the pharmacist salary. So if I went and bought a pharmacy and I made $130,000, but I had to work the same schedule, to me, I just bought myself a job.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if I could make that much money and not have to work, that's a business. But I know many businesses where they're basically making the same that they could make just working for somebody else. And there's satisfaction in working for yourself. There's benefit to that, obviously. But I separate business versus like hobby, or, you know, I separate those. Business to me means you're making money and you're not there. Or
that's a really unique perspective, actually, because I don't think most people think of it like that.
No, definitely not.
Most people just want to work for themselves. And if you're there's that famous Mark Cuban thing where he's on Shark Tank and he's like, I'd work 72 hours a week, making $70K a year, and I'd be way happier than making $250K working for someone else, working 40 hours a week, you know, just because you want to work for yourself. And you did that. But then once you got to the point where it was like, okay, I can take a step back, you took that immediately. Whereas some people, they're like, you like Cuban and those super rich dudes that are like constantly building more and more wealth. They had like this, they still do that forever. Whereas you were like, you know what, I'm going to enjoy my life. You know? Yeah,
because looking back, I have no regrets, but the only regret I would have is maybe buying more pharmacies.
Yeah.
You know, and then I could have staggered the sales over a 10-year period and done even better. But your mom was always like, what's the end goal? You know, like we're doing fine. You can make more money, but you're going to add way more stress to your life having 3 or 4 pharmacies. And she's probably right in the end.
Definitely.
But it was, I still think, to me, the best part was still building the business up. Once it got running like smoothly, it wasn't as fun. I had more fun going from 0 to 100 than 100 to 105. No, it just wasn't.
The challenge was less.
The challenge. So
and the income was less.
Yeah, I think I found myself, too, that was sort of what I liked. I liked building it, you know. once it was, I'm not saying when it was going smooth and I was making good money, that was awesome too, obviously, because I could do what I wanted to and travel the world and take you guys on vacations. It never could have happened, otherwise. But still, the fun part was waking up and like looking at my sales every day. Once I got to a certain point, it wasn't even fun looking at the sales that much because okay, it's the same as last week. But when you see the growth, and I used to have these charts, and
it's so funny to think of you and Mom, how different you are.
Oh yeah.
How because I could totally see how Mom would be like, you make more than enough money. Mm-hmm. You are not sacrificing one more minute of these children's lives without you because you want another pharmacy. And to her, that's like the easiest equation ever. Make double your salary and increase your work by 2x and lose your family whenever your salary is already totally good enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, why the fuck would you ever? In her head, it's a super easy.
I know, but I never did miss anything. That's the funny part. Like literally, even when I was building the pharmacy up those first couple of years, it was still 9 to 5. So if you had something at school at like 12, okay, I might have missed some little.
We were so young. I mean, we
elementary stuff. I might have missed a few little things those first 2 or 3 years, but then from that point on, most things I'd go to, there were no dads there. Mm-hmm. Anything during 9 to 5 when you guys were in school,
that's true.
It'd be me, a few dads, and like 90% women.
Yep.
So I never missed
you
any.
Knew what you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Like I was like, everyone's like, "How can you be here?" I'm like, "Well, it was cool because everyone else had to be at work. Mm-hmm. Most people can't just leave work like that." So the benefit, even though I think Mom saw the stress and didn't want me to be more stressed out, but. So I think I could have done it. Truthfully, I think I could have. I could
just a little more, not
4 or 5 pharmacies,
but
even like one more pharmacy.
Yeah.
I think would have been fine because I could have hired a manager to oversee. You get to a certain point, then you can. I did all the paperwork myself.
Yeah,
all the books, all the checks. If I had 3 or 4, I would hire someone to do that.
Yeah,
but having one, it didn't make sense to hire somebody for that.
So how could someone start like your definition of a business then in 2023, where it's working for them, they're making money, they're making the passive income? I mean, that takes at least 20 years probably to build.
Yeah, I guess I was kind of lucky that it didn't take me as a typical business. It didn't. I think you have to know what you want to do. You can't you have to have the details. And I tell many kids, because I coached wrestling all those years, I would tell kids, find something you love to do, become an expert in it, then do a business.
Yep.
Like I always referred like to Eber for Hosek, he went to school for engineer, super smart guy, started a business in HVAC, but he runs it like a white collar business. He's smart. Most contractors,
those are the best.
If you're a smart guy and you're a contractor, you can kick ass still. Because I deal with contractors the last 30 years building this place and even the rental properties. It's hard to find. I mean, they're great guys, but they're not business oriented. Mm-hmm. Like, if whoever calls back first, that's who gets the job for me half the time because no one even calls you back. Mm-hmm. You call someone, they don't even call you back for a week.
Yeah.
So if you can run it like a good, there's so much money to be made in those kind of businesses nowadays. Plumbing, electrical.
Oh.
That's what Cooper's talking about, that Dan Pena guy. There's another girl named Cody Sanchez, and she does the same thing of what he was talking about, and she calls her whole thing, I'm a boring business entrepreneur. My whole thing is I buy super boring, like as boring as a company can be, I will buy it. And usually it's owned by old people, like Cooper was saying.
Yeah.
Like she bought this one company where these 2 old people they had vending machines in Florida that just give out ice on the road. You just drive up to it. You literally get a bucket and just put it under it like a driving range, and it just dumps ice out. It made like $80K a year total. They sold it to her for $80K. Like that's it. 1 year of sales or 1 year of gross net profit, whatever. And then she made like 15 of them, and now she makes whatever, like just probably like $150,000. But she has like 40 of those companies that are just different little things, like cleaning the gutters. Like they already have all the infrastructure set up and then just go from there.
Yeah, and it's funny, I was young, I just assumed people that are older are just smart. When you're like you're like 10, 12, 15, even high school, if I saw an adult, I thought they're just smart. Or if they owned a business, I thought, oh, they're just smart. It's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different various degrees of business owners. Some are just getting by, making, like I said, like a salary. And then there's some that are just like entrepreneurs who are just crushing it. So yeah, everybody's, it's, you got to look in, because I thought that same with the pharmacy. I'm like, the first pharmacy I went to buy, the guy was making like $70K. Well, I was making that as a pharmacist back then. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out, why would I buy this? Like back to the same thing, like that's buying a job. Well, I didn't realize he was doing some weird things with the books, So he was making more money, but I didn't,
gotcha.
And then the second one I jumped on, and same thing. I thought this girl, like, wow, maybe, what if she's maxed out right now? The pharmacy I bought, what if it's like, this is the most you can do? What if she's doing it perfectly right? But she wasn't, obviously.
What about someone like me then that's into, like, I love wrestling and combat sports. How would you even start a business in that kind of realm? Like Jody Strickmatter did it, but like, how would you even start something like I couldn't start a MMA gym because I'm not
you got to
good
be
at boxing,
successful.
I'm not good at kickboxing or any of that stuff. I mean, it would take 30 more years of me training before I could become an expert.
Yeah, but all those kind of guys who do well at that have super high success.
Yeah.
Like Jody was, top 2 or 3 in the country. You got to have a name. You got to
do.
You can't just be like an average, high school wrestler, which you're not, obviously. You're a college wrestler, but you have to have success to start.
Yeah.
But some of the best coaches aren't even the best wrestlers.
No,
for sure. But
it doesn't always correlate.
That will take you 20 years.
Yeah.
You need to build up clientele with your
name, your brand.
It would take me it would take me 20 more years before I could be an expert.
Yeah, like these D1 champs, like David Taylor, they can just put their name out there and people are going to come because the kids watch them on TV. But someone who's lesser known, you can do it.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't even bother doing that. But just something I always think about that. Like that's kind of an impossible way to make money.
How cool would it be to have Bo and Jody on, where we could be like, this is like the predecessor of you.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would clash or anything, but having Jody on, Jody is that's such a cool story because think of how he built his brand up, word of mouth. That's it. There was no social media. He didn't use Facebook. Maybe he did a little bit, but that's not wrestling.
I don't think so.
Wrestlers don't do that shit. So it's like the only way everyone knew about Young Guns is because you go to every tournament, and every damn time you go to a tournament, there's at least 6 dudes that got first place. And they're wearing Young Guns singlets.
Yeah.
And everyone sees that. And they're like, what is this? Some club and then whatever. And then now we're to the point where he has $1 million facility where he can host camps and make millions of dollars a year doing that shit.
When I go to his house, I instantly get inspired. I'm like, cool, I could do more. Like I should do more in a day. Because I go to his house. He has obviously a beautiful house on hundreds of acres of property. And then he has this this freaking compound that he built that's 4x the size of his house. I'm pretty sure it could hold 120 kids at one time. He has a full kitchen. He has a full dining area. He has 2 full game rooms. He has a waiting area for the parents to watch. But he designed it so the parents can see the kids, but the kids can't see the parents.
See them, yeah.
And he locks the door so the parents aren't allowed in. So it's perfect. The kids aren't stressed out. They're not watching their dad.
Yeah.
Their dad can still watch them. So the parents go. There's this huge parking lot. He just has so much cool stuff. He's a huge fenced in area with cornhole and football and all this stuff. And he keeps his connections with UPJ. So UPJ wrestlers come up and he has all the counselors he needs to watch 120 kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he'd be a great guest because his story is different than mine. He was an expert. I was an expert in pharmacy, so I went into pharmacy. Why would I go buy a pizza shop, without knowing how to make a pizza?
Yep.
So he was a great wrestler, did great in college. Awesome family, obviously, just super close family. His dad had a massive dairy farm, and each kid lives on the farm, built a house on their farm. But I remember back when he first started that, back in 15 years ago, probably now, he'd have 4 or 5 kids there. There'd be 10 kids max this first year or 2.
Whenever I used to go to Central Cambria?
Yeah, there were not many kids.
I would go to Central Cambria. That was his only location, I think. And it was me and 20 people, and that was it. That was it. Yeah. And then he went to Richland, and then he went to UPJ, and then he had UPJ, Franklin Regional.
Now he's got 4 or 5 sites, and it's so he did his business like most people would do it. You start out struggling. He's probably making nothing.
Yep.
Losing money the first year or 2, I'd imagine, or just getting by. And then adding another location.
But he was one of the first people too to be like, "Hey, you can get a lot better at wrestling if you do it all year." You know what I mean? I'll show it to you right now. Like just try for 1 year, and you'll instantly be way better than the average high school kid.
Well, and I talked about timing before too. I had perfect timing for pharmacy because I got in It wasn't super expensive, and reimbursements were good. And every year since I bought the pharmacy, reimbursements went down every single year. So for 22 years straight, my margins got cut every single year. But I still had a great margin to begin with. If you start now doing that, you're screwed.
Yep.
There's nothing left to cut. And Jody,
Perfect timing.
he said timing, yeah, because now if you want to say you win nationals even as a D1 athlete and you're from Johnstown, you start your own club. Well, you're competing against a nationally known club called Young Guns.
Yep.
So you could do it, but you'll never get to the level that Jody's probably at. I mean, it would take
Forever.
you may, because he's going to get older and less, people like young people. I mean, David Taylor, at some point, Jody's always going to be known, but there's always someone new coming up too. So he had perfect timing. There were no clubs. There was probably one or two in Pittsburgh, but there was nothing in our area. And our area was a hotbed for wrestling too. And that's the thing too. Johnstown was a hotbed for wrestling when he started his club. District 6 was booming. And to me now it is in certain pockets like McCourt, but every other school sucks.
It's more specialized now.
Yeah, Richland, Westmont, the Powers back then, they all suck now. So
Yeah, and then also like all these guys that did become multiple time Division I national champions or Olympians, they're like, dude, I did all of this, and look at Jody. Like, Jody did really well too, but he started this multi-million-dollar business off of his name. And I'm a 2-time Olympic champion. I'm going to start a club.
Yeah.
And now it's like Jody started that movement. I feel like
David,
now you have like David Taylor.
Yeah, David Taylor's a state college, and that's Jody's clientele. Is state college people. Jody has, I'm sure, kids from state college, but now he's got to compete with. He's not going to get all those kids because they're going to have to pick.
I wonder if he looks at it like that, because it's not that kind of business where for me to succeed you have to fail. Like everyone can kind of succeed. Like you can subscribe to multiple clubs. All he needs is your subscription. He doesn't need you to show up to practice.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's okay now. He's not worried about it. He's not stressed out about it now. But when he opened up his business 15 years ago and all of a sudden David Taylor did that, it'd been more stressful for him. He's successful now and he could probably stop doing it tomorrow and he could retire. I would imagine he's done pretty well.
For sure.
But yeah, he loves it and he probably never will retire unless, something happens.
It's such a good example of how to start a company, because it's like, what are you good at? What are you naturally good at? And that's not something that, like, everyone has something that they are better at than the average person. Every single human being on this entire planet. Shimmy likes planning stuff. She can plan parties. I like building shit. I'll go build something. Cooper likes wrestling. You like numbers and math and doing all that kind of stuff. And then once you know what you're good at, you have to find a creative way to market that thing. And usually the best way of marketing is showing your success of other things that you've already done. That's how Young Guns marketed everything. It was all word of mouth. How does Tesla market? They don't pay for ads.
Yeah, no.
They market because we have a fucking awesome car, because I know how to build a fucking awesome car. That's why, period. And then everyone likes it, and then eventually you have this awesome brand, and then you can market way easier because it's nationally known as, this is a Tesla car and it's this certain way. It's such a cool, it's so interesting.
You probably have to leave.
It's been an hour.
Time is it 10? I've got
10.
10 minutes maybe. So back to your question, what do you do? Yeah, that's like $1 million question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to sit on it for a long time.
Yeah, you have time.
I'm not afraid. I'll do something that I don't enjoy as a means to make money too for a little bit.
Well, everybody, to me, sometimes you have to do that. Yeah. Like, I can't say I enjoyed working 80 hours a week in a pharmacy and for Rite Aid. Like I did it for the money. But that, if I didn't, there again, it all comes back full circle. If I didn't work that extra time at Rite Aid those first couple of years, I wouldn't have had the money to buy this pharmacy. Probably, when I was actually ready to buy, if I didn't have that capital or at least something sitting there, that it may still worked out, but I wasn't as stressed out because I had a little bit of savings. And your mom just got out of medical school. I mean, she just graduated.
Yeah.
Basically, the year I bought that, she like her second year of practice.
Wow.
So there again, that helped too. That helped also. If she was a stay-at-home mom, I'd probably still be working for, who knows, a corporate pharmacy, maybe, because that risk would have been way greater having no income. So
you could also, though,
marry somebody that, it's also very smart and an awesome person.
Yeah. like, but whenever you're starting a business, I don't know, back in the 1900s or whatever.
1900s.
Fuck you. That was kind of your whole. That was like that's all you probably had time to build, though, was a business, because you had to go to the brick and mortar store and you had to do it there and then come home after a 12-hour day. Now it's like you could spend a lot of your time creating a business just on your phone while you're working for somebody simultaneously, and then you could just pivot slowly to your own business. You know what I mean? If you could either grow on social media or
It's totally different.
create an online
Yeah.
service, like you could slowly pivot rather than just taking like a huge risk. You know, you'd be like, oh, I'm making just as much money on just off my phone.
You can sort of dip your toes into a business like that and with low risk, probably like an online type thing.
Yeah.
But
That little,
you're buying a brick. Going back to like, I want to do like
That's
an
Greg
origin
versus you.
I want to do an origin story at some point, like, because I love Marvel movies. So like, on my own story, like from day one, not day one, but
we'll do that different
childhood,
time.
high school, and
We'll have to have chapters.
different things we talked about today, but more detail.
Yeah.
But one cool thing was, I just lost my train of thought. Dang.
When you were younger, it was like,
No, the brick and mortar thing we're talking about. Damn. Well, skip that. It might come back to me. Got sidetracked.
I gotta leave here for camp. I'll be gone till Wednesday.
oh, really? What camp?
This UPJ wrestler is an All-American. He passed away, and another alumni started a camp in his honor, and a lot of UPJ guys go up. It's in Erie, so 3-hour drive.
Wow.
But it's just a camp, wrestling camp that a bunch of kids go to, college kids, high school kids, whatever. But I think they're going to pay me to go. I don't even know. I didn't do anything really. They just asked if I wanted to come. But it'd be nice just being around.
You're staying there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just being around wrestling for 4 days straight, 3 days straight. It'd be fun.
Is Jody going to be there no more?
No, just UPJ guys. So that'd be nice to get to know the team more.
Cool.
Sure.
Want to end it?
Got anything else to say before we end this?
Yeah, I wish I had my thought back, but I can't. Totally went just disappeared on
She's
me.
gone.
Yeah.
That's all right. It'll come back on.
I respect the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
Me too.
You're an awesome human being. I told whenever we ended Mom's podcast, I was like, just so you know.
Did you cry? Did she cry?
No. Well, she
Yeah,
probably
she
did.
did.
when
She
saw
probably
it.
cried.
I said, just so you know, like, you are the greatest human being of all time. And I would not say that to anyone else in this entire world. And you would agree with the same thing. That Mom is the best human being of all time.
100%.
And I love that you and Mom are so opposite and you work together. And then we get to see you guys both doing complete. Mom works for a living and loves it. You worked for yourself. You loved it. You do what you want to do. Mom does everything for everyone else. You're like total opposites in terms of shit like that. And it's so cool because I don't want to be either end.
Yeah.
And I want to be right in the middle where I'm like, I
If you
work
could
for myself and I
combine
love
both
what
of
I do.
us, yeah. If you can combine us into one
Dude, it'd be fucking
human
nuts.
being, yeah. Because I mean, I think I'm a good guy and stuff, but she's like a different level of
it's not.
goodness and just wholesomeness and all that kind of stuff. There's not a bad bone in her body where I'm not saying I have a lot of those, but
Like Mom would die for literally anyone or anything.
yeah.
I-
We were just watching Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday, and I bet she cried 20 times. It didn't matter if who got hurt in that movie. It could be like
That movie was a tearjerker.
it could
though.
be.
It was,
but
yeah.
I know, but not everything was tear jerky.
Oh, she probably cries 4 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes her who she is. And,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that for anything because, like raising you guys, I'd still say it was like 75% mom, 25% me. Yeah. Like as far as like,
You had your roles.
we each had our different roles, but like, yeah, it was 50-50 on a lot of things, obviously, like picking kids up and
Yeah.
rides, stuff, but like,
It's the same thing though because Mom is so hands-on. She's
Yeah.
too hands-on.
Yeah.
She needs to know everything. She needs to know like literally everything about your life. You don't need to know it all. And it's great. Like it's
Yeah.
the same thing, two opposite ends.
yeah,
you
if
know?
we were both up your ass every day, like
Yeah,
I
it'd be
never
fucking so annoying.
once went on that school thing and looked and saw what your grades were. And I
Yeah.
know people that like, oh my God, my kid got a C in this I'm like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
first of all, it's like second grade, and like, I talk to people with young kids now, and it's hard because like I know how unimportant that stuff is. Like in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, he got a C. Like, dude, I had D's and I flunked a few classes. I'm sure I know I did,
I like that perspective though.
and it's like, it's not, like I was like 75th in my class out of 150 kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's pretty shitty, like, truthfully. I mean, it's okay, it's average, right? It's I'm dead center, middle. But if you went back and retrospectively looked at, like, careers or where I ended up, it's probably top 5%, top 2%, maybe. I don't even know. I'm not even saying financially, but, like, where I started to where I ended, like, in high school, I didn't take any college classes, AP. I had nothing. I had no biology, no chemistry. And went to college, I had no chemistry classes. There was 200 kids in my class in chemistry. 4 of us had no chemistry class in high school. So I started from scratch, and I kicked all their asses.
Yep.
Because I didn't take
life too seriously.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we could all use a little bit of taking ourselves less seriously, and you definitely played that role. Like, you're doing good, do better. Like, okay, you know, you won Mountain Conference, cool. You're in 8th grade, no one gives a shit. Like, you're in high school next year, go do it.
Yeah, he used to always do that.
Yeah, that and I used to always be like, dude, you're a dick. 'Cause I'd be like, Dad, I'm gonna win state someday. You'd be like, bro, win districts first.
Let's win something first.
And I always thought you were a dick for that, but now that I look back at him, I was like, that's such a good perspective. You're like, okay, cool, do something else. Like,
yeah, because I
don't take yourself so seriously.
Well,
dude.
plus I saw so many kids that like won Mountain Conference in 8th grade.
Yep.
They were studs, and in high school never got past districts.
Yeah,
because they just didn't care. So that's why I never pushed either one of you. You know, I got mad at you for quitting, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't push you like when you were a little kid to do it. You know, more. And just luckily, you just fell in love with it. You know, probably because you didn't.
Yep.
I'm sure that's part of it. Like, wait, Colby's a good football player. I'm okay football. I'm gonna be a great wrestler. 'Cause Colby kind of quit and was okay. He was good, but he kind of gave it up.
Yep.
you might have played some part of.
I mean,
role,
psychologically, subconsciously,
Probably.
You know.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, because like men to men, we always are going to we're going to be competing against
Yeah.
something. Even like it's so funny because even in a way, like we are all still competing now. You know, like we all want to have
in a healthy way.
Yeah, it's fun. Like
love
it's
it.
really it's cool to always be like looking at each other and making sure that don't think of yourself as that fucking great because you're not. You're really not, and we can all be better all the time.
Yeah, that's the best part of brotherhood is the competition, the challenge.
Dude, it's
Well-
fucking yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I beat Colby in spike ball yesterday. You know what spike ball is?
Yeah.
I've only played like 10 games of spike ball in my life, so I told Cooper, give me 20 games and I'll win. But
won't.
we'll see.
Well, Dad,
I want to go biking with
Thank
you,
you.
Cooper, so I can kick your ass.
you won't. You won't. I mean,
I will kick your ass.
I beat
on the
Cooper's
bike.
Peloton score.
dude, this is so stupid. He literally, I did it, and then he went on the next day for the goal of
Literally, that's it.
The goal of looking at my score and beating it. So
Yeah,
I'll go
that's-
back and I'll
that's
beat him
how
by
it is.
20.
I watched his
He beat
score
me
the
by
whole
2.
time, and I was
yeah.
like, his average is 176. I need to keep it 180 the whole way, and I just whole way 180 for 30 minutes, and
It's
I
not
beat his
fair,
score.
though. That's not
No,
fair,
it's
yeah.
not. No.
Well, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll beat you by 30, and you'll never be.
If you did it tomorrow and you beat me by 30, you win.
Okay.
I beat both those, I think.
Dude,
so.
the stupid part
No,
is
you
like
didn't.
Eric.
Not the 30-minute one.
The
Yeah, I
dumb,
did.
the dumb part is Eric with his freaking long legs and the torque that he can.
Eric's
Yeah.
fucking 50 pounds heavier than us.
I know. It's
Yeah,
So that doesn't count.
Part of me doesn't want to. Part of me doesn't want to go with you because you've been working pretty hard, and I would feel bad to just smoke you.
that would suck.
You
Yeah.
know?
That would suck.
I don't.
It'd be good for you.
I
though.
don't think. What do you think, Colby? You think you would just crush me?
No,
No, definitely not.
no.
I wouldn't know how to pace myself.
Well, even with like the gears and stuff,
No.
you wouldn't know.
On my first ride, I would definitely not know how to pace myself.
Yeah,
or
you
what
guys-
gears to be in.
If you guys trained at all, you would just age wise. You're gonna,
I mean, I fucking hope so. Jesus.
Probably not.
We're literally a fucking
30 years
fourth of your
younger.
age.
You got
Well,
you got 30 more beats per minute just to heart rate than I do. You know,
yeah.
I don't believe that.
that's true. 220 minus your age.
I don't believe that.
That's your max heart rate. In theory,
really?
in theory, yeah.
My
Yeah.
zone 2 is like 180.
Like almost Sally can't get up to 200. She'd be dead.
Yeah, but that's like a general guideline though. My zone 2 is like 180, and that completely negates what that is because my zone 5 would be fucking 230. You know?
I'm just telling you, I've tried that. It's hard to get above your max.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being your age on a bike, and I would say, okay, I'm 20. I can't get above 200, and I tried to kill myself, and I could get to like 201, 202.
I guess.
Try it. Yeah, try it sometime.
Oh, I do. Every time I look at my thing, it's my zone 2 is always like 180. But Dad, we love you.
Love you.
Thank you for giving us the means to do what we want in life.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we make you proud.
Payback, bitch. Yeah, come on.
My payback someday is going to be paving the driveway for you. I call that one.
God. I'll take that one. Hey,
Yeah.
Delaney bought
I call that one.
dinner,
Delaney bought dinner yesterday.
That was awesome. Delaney bought dinner. Yeah.
And thanks for being a good guy.
I try.
Love you.
Love you.